Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Look, let's just dive right in because we have got a ton of ground to cover today. You know, when we look up at the night sky, we usually think of the universe as this beautiful, peaceful paradise, right? Twinkling stars, quiet nebula, a serene cosmic dance. But what if I told you that out there, hiding in the dark, are worlds so extreme and so hostile that they make our absolute worst nightmares look like a walk in the park? Today, we're going to completely shatter that illusion of a peaceful universe and explore some of the most genuinely terrifying planets astronomers have ever discovered.
Seriously, think about that for a second. Imagine stepping outside and instead of refreshing drops of water, it rained a razor-sharp glass. It sounds like something straight out of a horror movie, but this isn't science fiction, it's actual science fact. We are about to plunge directly into an interstellar chamber of horrors. Think of this explainer as a thematic tour through the absolute most extreme, terrifying conditions in space. We'll be exploring exoplanets that completely push the boundaries of physics, chemistry, and honestly, our own imaginations.
So let's head beyond our safe haven and leave Earth behind.
We're starting off with deadly glass and iron storms. Honestly, the most extreme weather imaginable.
Let's start with a giant gas planet known as HD 189733b. Now, if you were to see it from a distance, it's about 64 light-years away, its deep, beautiful blue color might completely fool you into thinking it's a peaceful ocean world. But man, that color is deceiving. 8,700. That staggering number is 8,700 kilometers per hour, which is roughly 5,400 miles per hour. That is the actual wind speed on this planet. To put that into perspective, that is over 7 times the speed of sound. It is a supersonic windstorm that literally never stops.
So what exactly are those supersonic winds carrying? Remember that beautiful blue color? Well, it doesn't come from a tranquil ocean. It comes from tiny particles of silicate in the atmosphere. Because the daytime temperatures on this world exceed 900 degrees Celsius, that's over 1,650 degrees Fahrenheit, those silicate particles just melt. So you end up with razor-sharp shards of molten glass being blown completely sideways at supersonic speeds. It is quite literally a deadly, never-ending glass storm. It might be one of the most beautiful planets we've ever found, but for sure it is undeniably one of the deadliest.
But hey, molten glass isn't the only nightmare precipitation out there. Let's compare HD 189733b to a very famous nightmare planet called WASP 76b. On this world, it doesn't rain glass, it rains liquid iron.
The mechanics of WASP 76b are just mind-blowing. First off, the daytime temperatures are scorching, easily exceeding 2,400 degrees Celsius. It's so blistering hot that actual iron on the surface vaporizes into a gas. Then, those powerful winds we talked about earlier carry that iron vapor all the way around the planet to the night side, where it's slightly cooler. Because the temperature drops, that iron vapor condenses, turns back into a liquid, and literally falls from the sky as heavy droplets of liquid iron. Just imagine looking up and seeing a heavy metal storm raining down on you. No way.
Moving on to scorched worlds of extreme heat, where entire planets just melt and boil. We're shifting gears from the skies to the surface now, to places where the ground itself is liquefied. Let's look at a rocky world named 55 Cancri E, which is, well, basically a lava world. This planet orbits incredibly close to its host star and is what we call tidally locked. That just means one side of the planet always faces the star while the other is stuck in perpetual darkness. The side facing the star is permanently scorched, with surface temperatures exceeding 2,400 degrees Celsius or 4,350 degrees Fahrenheit. Because of this intense heat, scientists actually believe that oceans of lava cover much of the planet and continuous volcanic eruptions are just constantly reshaping the surface. If Earth were like this, every single continent we know would just be a churning sea of liquid rock.
But wait, it actually gets hotter. 4,300. We are talking about 4,300 degrees Celsius, or nearly 7,800 degrees Fahrenheit. That's the temperature of a world called Kelt 9b. To give you some context on how insane that is, it makes this planet hotter than many actual stars in our universe.
Astronomers have described Kelt 9b as less like a planet and more like a giant glowing furnace. And yeah, that pretty much hits the nail on the head. At 4,300 degrees, the heat is so intense that basic chemistry just breaks down. Molecules cannot survive because the thermal energy just completely tears them apart. Even solid metals exist only as a vapor here. The heat is so punishing that the planet's entire atmosphere is constantly boiling off and evaporating directly into the vacuum of space. All right, next up, endless oceans and absolute darkness. We are heading into the deep and the dark.
Let's leave the blazing heat behind for a minute and move into the really eerie, unsettling mysteries of pitch blackness and bottomless depths. Take a planet called TOI 1452b. When you break down its composition, scientists estimate that up to 30% of this entire planet's mass is pure water. Contrast that with Earth, where water makes up less than 1% of our planet's mass. TOI 1452b is a true ocean planet. There is absolutely no land whatsoever.
So, what does a planet with that much water actually look like? Well, it means oceans that are hundreds, maybe thousands of kilometers deep. Our deepest trenches here on Earth, like the Mariana Trench, they would barely scratch the surface of this alien world. The pressure at the bottom of these oceans is so enormous that scientists believe it creates exotic forms of ice that actually remains entirely solid despite the intense heat of the planet. It's a world where you could swim forever, but you can never, ever find a single place to stand.
From the deep blue, we move to absolute pitch black. Meet TRES 2b, the darkest planet ever found. This planet absorbs almost all visible light that hits it, reflecting less than 1% back into space. That literally makes it darker than coal or the blackest acrylic paint we have on Earth. But you want to know the scariest part? It is incredibly close to its star, making its temperature hotter than 1,000 degrees Celsius, so it is a boiling hot world of absolute darkness.
It looks exactly like a giant black hole floating through space. But because it is so hot, scientists believe it isn't perfectly black. It likely emits a very faint, deep red glow, kind of like an electric heating coil on a stove in a dark room. It just creates this incredibly ominous, terrifying mental image of a pitch black, faintly glowing entity lurking out there in the void.
Now for something completely different. Swallowed alive by a star. A planet literally being torn apart.
Okay, so we've talked about insane weather, extreme heat, and crushing depths. But what about a planet facing total, unavoidable cosmic destruction? The agony of WASP-12b is just incredible. It's a giant gas planet that is literally being eaten alive by its own sun. It orbits its star in just 26 hours. It's so incredibly close that the star's immense gravity is physically stretching the planet into an egg-like shape. Its atmosphere is constantly being ripped away, just bleeding out into space. It's a slow, cosmic execution. Scientists believe that eventually, this planet will be entirely consumed and disappear completely. Imagine standing on a world knowing that your sun is actively tearing the ground beneath you apart.
Let's wrap this up with why Earth is so incredibly special. Appreciating our safe haven.
Okay, I think we've had enough terror for one explainer. Let's take a deep breath and return safely home. When we stack these exoplanet extremes right up against Earth, the contrast is just staggering. On these alien nightmare worlds, you've got rain made of molten glass or liquid iron. On Earth, we get refreshing liquid water. Their ground consists of oceans of boiling lava, while we get to walk on solid, stable continents. Their weather features supersonic winds roaring at 8,700 kilometers per hour, while we just get to enjoy gentle breezes. While these extreme alien conditions are absolutely fascinating to study and try to wrap our heads around, the absolutely crucial takeaway here is that none of them could ever support human life as we know it.
Every single new planet we discover teaches us something profound about just how strange and beautifully diverse our universe truly is. And yeah, somewhere out there among the billions of planets in our galaxy, there may be worlds even more terrifying than the ones we explore today. But, importantly, there's also the hope that there are others out there surprisingly similar to our own safe little blue dot. It leaves room for both terror at the raw power of nature and genuine hope for what else we might find out there.
And that is a wrap for our explainer today. But before we go, I really want to hear from you. Which of these nightmare planets do you think is the absolute scariest? Would you rather face the molten glass storms, the bottomless dark oceans, or a sky raining liquid iron? Tell us your thoughts down in the comments. Thank you so much for joining me on this wild ride across the universe. Keep looking up, stay curious, and I'll catch you in the next one.